Welcome to the Mirror of Human Nature. Today, we're diving straight into a really fascinating analysis of our most hidden behaviors. Humans are arguably the most intelligent creatures on Earth, yet somehow, we are also the most completely baffled by ourselves. We can build sprawling cities and literally design the future, but when it comes to understanding our own emotions, our relationships, our daily habits, we so often just find ourselves completely lost. Why do we get so deeply jealous? Why do we make these massive decisions that we instantly regret? Well, human nature isn't just random. It actually has patterns. It has rules. And in this explainer, we're going to decode those exact rules together.
Okay, let's jump right into this with a scenario I guarantee we've all experienced. Picture this. You're a completely rational, educated, experienced person, right? So, why is it that the simple tone of a single tiny text message, or even just a slight delay in a reply, can totally shake you to your core? The truth is, our behavior is secretly governed by hidden psychological rules. It's really no accident that a minor silence from a coworker or your partner triggers this huge wave of anxiety. It happens because, as logical as we like to think we are, hidden forces are constantly pulling our strings in the background.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the game of emotions and ego. In this particular game, we're going to see exactly how our feelings basically hijack our logic, usually without us even realizing it's happening. Enter the law of irrationality. Now, this doesn't mean you're crazy. It simply means that when feelings steer the mind, your logic merely becomes a passenger, and its only job is to justify the route you're already taking. Imagine you're at the office. You've been grinding on a project for weeks, but during the big presentation, your manager casually mentions the team's success without actually naming you. Instantly, you feel this massive spike of anger. You're thinking, no way, they just stole my credit. In a split second, your brain turns into this ruthless internal lawyer instead of an objective judge. Rather than pausing to consider that maybe your boss was just rushing, your emotional lawyer twists the facts to defend your hurt ego, drafting up some passive-aggressive email that ends up totally ruining the working relationship.
So what's actually happening here? It really comes down to the two mental speeds we all operate on. You've got your slow brain, which patiently thinks, checks the details, and tries to understand context. But then you have your fast brain, and your fast brain is fueled entirely by emotions. It instantly judges, it slaps on labels, and it demands immediate action. Imagine someone accidentally bumps into you on a crowded local train. If your slow brain was in charge, you just brush it off. But if you're already carrying around the heavy stress of an awful workday, well, that minor physical bump just ignites the emotional gunpowder already sitting in your fast brain. Before you even know what's happening, a totally tiny accident turns into a massive, screaming public argument.
Once those raw emotions grab the wheel, they lock us into what we call the emotional intensity loop. When we completely ignore our own irrationality, we lose our timing and our accuracy. Think about it. You feel hurt, so you react impulsively at literally the worst possible moment. Because you came in hot and aggressive, the other person instantly gets defensive. That makes you feel even more hurt, and the whole conflict just spirals. You might genuinely think you're fighting for the truth, but actually, you're just spinning in an emotional loop, and it's costing you your genuine human connections.
Here's the real kicker, though. The law of irrationality didn't come to make you perfect. It came to make you honest. Just take a breath and let that sink in for a second. We are not a single solid state of being. We are literally a shifting weather system of emotions. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's a thunderstorm. Admitting that your emotions can sometimes completely mislead you doesn't make you weak at all. It makes you incredibly self-aware.
And building right on top of that fragile ego, we run into the law of defensiveness. This is what happens when we protect our self-image at the absolute cost of truth, connection, and personal growth. Have you ever gotten really simple workplace feedback? Like maybe your boss just asked you to make your presentation slides a bit cleaner and you instantly felt attacked? Boom! Your ego builds a defensive wall. You confuse a tiny minor correction of your work with a massive personal attack on your core identity. And suddenly you're aggressively defending your intentions instead of just saying, oh, good point, and learning from the truth.
Moving right along to Section 2, the reality of social masks.
All right, let's talk about the law of narcissism. People always get this one wrong. And if we're being honest, it's something we all fall prey to from time to time. True narcissism isn't always this loud arrogance or someone just staring in the mirror all day long. Often, it is a very quiet neediness. It's a silent hunger for attention, where you're really just using other people as mirrors for your own self-validation. It's obsessively checking social media to see how many likes you got, basically equating your self-worth to public attention. Or maybe it's sitting with your partner who's trying to share a super vulnerable story about their tough day, and somehow, within 2 minutes, you've completely hijacked the conversation to make it all about your own problems.
But look at what this obsession actually costs us when we let it rule. We completely miss the full context of situations.
We totally ignore the inner worlds and the struggles of other people because we just assume everything they do is directed at us. And worse, we sacrifice long-term trust just for a bit of short-term control. True empathy isn't a weakness, guys. It is an expansion of the self. When you widen your lens enough to see that others are dealing with their own immense pressures, your daily reactivity just kind of melts away.
Which perfectly tees up the law of role-playing. In our social lives, we are all constantly editing our true selves to wear these acceptable masks. Think about dating apps. You curate this perfect character, the flawless gym photos, a hilarious caption, your ultimate list of green flags, and on date 1 and 2, you play the charming, totally attentive role perfectly. But by the third date, a minor 10-minute delay getting a table at the restaurant causes a crack in the mask. The tone snaps, the patience just evaporates. You set yourself up for disappointment because you forced a performance instead of just revealing a real person. Notice the stark contrast here between our public mask and our private self. Think of that one funny friend in your group, the one who's always cracking jokes and keeping things light. Publicly, they're super positive and agreeable, but privately, they might be incredibly exhausted, completely burnt out, and super vulnerable. They play the funny role because it buys them acceptance. We really have to learn to look past these masks and respect the hidden armor people wear, realizing that sometimes a mask is born out of fear, not out of deception.
That brings us to Section 3, the trap of habits and greed.
I want you to really think about this question for a second. Why is it that highly capable, incredibly intelligent people repeat the exact same toxic mistakes over and over again? Why do we say, "I'm definitely going to change," only to fall right back into the exact same arguments and the exact same terrible financial choices a few weeks later? Seriously, why do we do that? Well, the answer lies in the law of compulsive behavior. When we're under pressure, we just snap back to our default toxic patterns, simply because the familiar feels safer than the unknown. Think about the firefighter colleague. We all know one. They constantly create these massive crises at the last possible minute, just so they can stay up all night, save the day, and feel needed. Their true character isn't shown in calm, quiet planning. It's revealed by what they immediately revert to under stress. They are quite literally addicted to the chaos because it gives them a sense of identity. So, we need to talk about the crucial difference between true ambition and just plain covetousness. Ambition is totally internal. It's about building things and growing as a person. Covetousness, on the other hand, is this restless external need to compare yourself and prove something. It's like walking into a mall, absolutely not planning to buy anything, seeing a sign that says limited edition, last pieces, and suddenly feeling this overwhelming, desperate urge to own it. Your desire isn't actually yours. It's entirely borrowed. You are chasing the identity that the object signals to the world rather than the object itself. If you actually map this behavior out on a timeline, it's pretty wild to see how we trade our long-term peace for an instant hit of dopamine. We call this the law of short-sightedness. Whether it's late-night doom scrolling when you know for a fact you need sleep, or buying stuff on credit just to feel good right now, you get instant relief. But tomorrow, the interest accumulates, and your future literally becomes a state of constant compromise. You survive the present moment, sure, but you're slowly draining the vitality straight out of your future. And unfortunately, this all snowballs into the law of self-sabotage. It sounds crazy, but the human mind strongly prefers known misery over unknown possibilities. We will unconsciously blow up a perfectly good relationship or a great new job by creating totally unnecessary drama just so we can feel like we're back in control of a familiar, chaotic environment. Growth is extremely uncomfortable, so we choose the predictable pain of self-sabotage instead, every single time.
Let's wrap things up with Section 4, the true power of awareness.
If you take anything away from this explainer today, let it be this: awareness is greater than advice. You really don't need some insane, complex list of productivity life hacks or a step-by-step manual to fix yourself. You simply need a new, totally honest lens to watch your own behaviors without immediate judgment. When you can just observe your own irrationality without immediately shaming yourself for it, you strip it of all its power over you. So what actually happens when you achieve this? Well, you learn to recognize the emotional wave right before it crashes. You start seeing the social masks, not just on everybody else, but on yourself too. You step out of the center of the universe, finally realizing that everyone else is fighting their own invisible battles. And most importantly, you choose freedom over those automatic compulsive reactions. The goal of recognizing all these hidden laws isn't about gaining the ability to control other people. It is entirely about freeing yourself. I absolutely love this quote, and I want you to let it sink in for a moment. Life's point isn't perfect control or endless winning. It's presence. When you finally drop that heavy armor of your ego, when you stop compulsively chasing those borrowed desires, you actually get to be present. Being aware allows you to finally feel and experience your life, rather than just constantly fighting your way through it.
I'm going to leave you with one final provocative thought to take with you today. In your very next conflict, whether it's at work, with your partner, or literally just someone cutting you off in traffic, ask yourself, are you truly reacting to the present moment, or are you just fighting your past? Become the self-aware observer. Thanks so much for joining me for this analysis. Keep observing, and I really hope this helps you continue decoding the totally fascinating world of your own human nature.